Let's talk about Final Space Season 3. Probably don't need to say this, but spoilers ahead, so hit that like button and come back later. So it is such a crime to see this amazing show get cancelled during one of the biggest cliffhangers of its entire run. My favorite character this season has to be Gary. Gary has always been one of my favorite characters in this show, but oh my gosh, I feel like his character reaches his full development in this third season. In seasons 1 and 2, we see him trying to learn to be a leader towards everybody, but also still trying to have fun at the same time to lighten the mood. But in season 3, we see him not only finally being the perfect leader for the team squad, but we also see him fully realizing of just how high the risks are when it comes to their mission of finally entering Final Space. So yeah, I will never forgive Warner Brothers for canceling this amazing show just for a freaking tax write-off. Yep, I'm definitely very salty about that. But with the cancellation of this show, I am happy to see that we are able to get a conclusion with the final chapter book that recently released and what I'm going to be reading very soon. Season 3 of Final Space, in my opinion, is the best season of this show. Season 3 is something that's been built up since the beginning of this show. We finally made it to the title of the name itself, Final Space, and oh my gosh, this area is so much worse than we ever imagined. Like, not only does the team squad have to constantly worry about Invictus hunting them down with an army full of Gary corpses, but we also learn when you go into Final Space, your body starts to slowly get poisoned by the air around you, and it's pretty terrifying to think about how Quinn has been in Final Space for months and managed to last this long. Season 2 was more of a setup to the main villain of this series, Invictus, but Season 3 is where we really start to see this villain in action. Oh my gosh, they are so intimidating every time I see this character appear on screen. Every time I see Invictus, they just scream Sauron from Lord of the Rings. I love how they're basically like this giant purple cloud, but at the same time, that alone carries so much presence to how powerful Invictus is. They don't need a physical form to do the terrible things that they do, even though it is implied that they do have a physical form somewhere. And oh boy, I am really looking forward to reading that graphic novel soon so I can finally see how powerful Invictus is with that physical form of them. It's great to not only have the original group of the team squad back together again now that Avocado is alive, but I also love it to see Gary back with his Quinn again. In season 1, I felt like their relationship was kind of getting rushed a little bit, but they do work off each other very well when we do see them together in this season. I like that this season brought over one of the storylines we saw teased at the end of season 2, and that's questioning if Bolo is even on the team squad side. And even though it is clear that he is on their side, this season does showcase that Bolo shouldn't be trusted 100% either, because he was willing to lie to Mooncake saying that Gary and the team squad perished while he just took Mooncake out on an adventure to unalive a bunch of Titans. He's kind of like a gray area character where you know he's doing it for the greater good, but he does do a lot of bad stuff at the same time, where you question of if it's even right to do the things that he does. It's really great to see the Lord Commander back after all these years of waiting. Season 3 had by far the best animation of the entire show. I really felt like as we got a new season of this show, they increased the animation budget more and more, which makes me even more mad that we never got a season 4 to conclude this show. This season really is brutal though, because we are experiencing a lot of losses to some of my favorite characters within this series, like Fox. And unlike with Avocado, where he managed to come back, they do show us that Fox isn't going to come back anytime soon, and it's pretty depressing to think about that. There are some character choices that do infuriate me a lot in this season though, like Ash's betrayal over the team squad. I do understand that she's going through a lot in this season, and I do enjoy her character story, but come on, she is literally trusting the definition of evil itself right out of nowhere, and I don't know, I just never really been the biggest fan of how Ash just kind of does a 180 over everybody when betraying them for Invictus. But again, she does go through a lot in this season, and it is kind of understandable to see that she would go down the route that she takes within the end of the show. This really is an underrated show though. Like, even all these years later, it will always be one of my favorites, and while we never did get that fourth and final season or even a movie to conclude the stories of these characters, I am looking forward on picking up the graphic novel very soon so I can finally see where these character stories end with the conclusion of the third season. I have 6 favorite moments in this season. My first favorite moment is when Quinn finally gets her chip. When we're first introduced to Nightfall's character, I was always interested to see how Quinn would eventually turn into her. Well, we finally have the answer here as we see Quinn succumbing to final space poisoning to the point where they need to make a brand new chip implant for her where it can house the only cure for her. But it's the scene of her getting the chip that really makes this scene emotional to me, because we see her going through so much pain because her body is so weak to the poisoning. So we see Gary willing to literally give his own body to Quinn if the pain can subside for her so she can get better. And while Gary is going through all this immense pain, we hear him say Quinn would do the same for him, and that's when it really hits me that she probably would, but wouldn't at the same time. We see from Nightfall that she never closed the gate at all. It was always Gary in the end. Yet, this is the only Quinn that closed the gate to save her Gary. So I like to think that if they were having the roles reversed, Quinn would do the same for Gary. My second favorite moment is when Gary doesn't want a cookie. This is probably one of my favorite Gary moments. Back in season 1, we heard how Gary will never outgrow a cookie and he will always want one. But this scene, yeah, he did not want a cookie, which makes sense because he just accidentally unalived one of his crewmates. It was an insanely traumatized moment for Gary, and I do not blame him for crashing out this hard towards the cookies and he trying to offer one to him after he had accidentally unalived a close friend of his. My third favorite moment is the fight between Gary and Avocado. This is probably one of my favorite interactions between these two characters because it shows of just how much these two dads do care for little Kato. We find out that apparently Avocado isn't the real father to little Kato and is actually the prince to Ventrexia after Avocado had unalived his parents. And of course, with Gary being little Kato's father too, he gets mad at Avocado for keeping that secret to himself. But as the two get into the fight, we probably get one of the best fights in the entire series yet, with some of the best animation I've seen in this entire show. It's a very emotional fight and an understandable one for both sides when it comes to this argument. My fourth favorite moment is when Clarence sacrifices himself. Not gonna lie, I didn't think I was gonna cry to this character. After the betrayal he had done everybody in season 2, it's nice to see that he actually took responsibility for his actions and redeemed himself in the end by trying to activate the portal from the other side to get everybody home. My fifth favorite moment is when the team squad interrogates that one Gary that's free from Invictus. Yet again, another traumatic moment to add to everybody's list here. It is really sad seeing this Gary going through the trauma of Invictus possessing them for who knows how long, but what really makes me tear up to this scene is Gary's delivery towards Quinn as he says Quinn never came for him. It kind of made me wonder if any of the Garys possessed by Invictus ever resented Quinn for never saving them, and it's pretty sad to think about how even though this Gary seemed okay with Quinn in the end, there still may have been one part of him who resented her for not saving him. And my final favorite moment is the ending. Yep, this is such an awesome cliffhanger, yet I'm still mad that they ended it on this cliffhanger. Seeing Victus breaking out of Final Space will always give me goosebumps, and I cannot wait to finally continue this story with the graphic novel later. I give this season a 9.9 out of 10, giving it an A+. And wait, that's a review. Go down to those comments to tell me what you thought of Final Space Season 3. Share this vote with all your friends, and hit that like and follow button to get you thought my latest content. See ya!